Alright, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Kodash. Double honors to the elder apostles, the elder bishops, the elders of Great Millstone who rule very well, very beautifully. Double salutations to the Akim and her pushing this gospel with truth and in sincerity to the best of their ability, given to them by Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, peace, blessings, and salutations be unto the elect scattered abroad. May the election of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Lord willing, fall upon your houses. This is the brother Corner Watts from the Arizona Great Millstone Camp. Come back at you, Lord will, with the edifying lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Lord will. It is edifying, Lord will. It is straight to the point. And this is on the, I came across this article on the naturalnews.com. It says fatal laughing gas poisonings skyrocket as recreational use spreads among youth, and you got prices rising. I seen another article that was stating about 86% of Americans, are basically, stressed out and worried because prices are going up, whereas wages are not. They just cut, what is it, the BET Awards, and there was another one that they cut as well, man. But, all this entertainment, all this, joy and mirth that these people were in, hey, these people aren't in it no more, man. Because, hey, guess what, man? America is declining, and these people are starting to notice it, man. And America's been on the decline for a while now, which is why you're seeing, increase, right? Drastic number increase in drug use, man. And it's, it says it spreads among the youth, among the youth, right? But it's not just the youth, man. It's all across the board, man. All across the board. Right? This is what's happening, right, within America, man. As we see America, declining, right? We're seeing the depression, the stress, the drug use, right, ultimately increasing, right? Let's read a little bit, man. I'll start right here. It says a sharp and alarming surge in fatalities linked to recreational noxide use. That's like a nitrous oxide use, commonly known as laughing gas, has emerged across the United States, with deaths increasing from 23 in 2010 to 156 in 2023. It says a 578% rise according to a recent analysis of the CDC data. The drug, marketed in colorful canisters as Whippets and inhaled through balloons, has become a gateway to severe neurological harm, addiction, and sudden death, particularly among adolescents, man. So you got these kids, man, ultimately doing these, as you see right here, Whippets, right there, as they're calling them, man, right? They're doing these drugs and killing themselves. And see, it's not just Whippets, man, right? You got more and more videos of the younger crowd getting into, methamphetamines and fentanyl and all these different heavy drugs, man. It's because the mirth is going down, man. The prices are going up, so people can't even purchase, going out to the bar, going out to, comedy clubs. Can't go to these arcades, because prices are increasing, man. Stuff that kids should be doing, they're not able to do, And I seen that there was a, what was it? It was 60%. In another article I saw, it was like 60% of, people, right, are disconnected from nature. So, a lot of people they don't even go outside anymore, man. Right? Where when I was a kid, hey, man, you couldn't be inside. You didn't even want to be inside, man. You didn't even want to be inside. You wanted to be outside playing with your friends, this and the third, man. But because wickedness is, consistently increasing, right? Wickedness is, as it says in 2nd Ezra, the 5th chapter, or the 15th chapter, right? For wickedness hath exceedingly polluted, right, the whole world, right? You don't see, and the brothers, made a beautiful point, on Saturday at the main camp, here in Arizona, man. You know, that you don't see a lot of kids, right, running around and, having fun anymore. You know, you don't see, kids early in the morning. No, man, you don't see none of that shit, man. You know, because wickedness has increased. You know, but I'll keep reading on it. It says researchers attributed the crisis to easy access, lax regulations, and aggressive marketing tactics targeting young users. 8th graders represent a significant portion of inhalant misuse, underscoring urgent concerns about schools, gas stations, and online retailers as vectors for distribution. Nitrous oxide is flying under the radar, perceived as harmless because it's legal, said Dr. Andrew Yockey, lead author of the study, emphasizing the need for national awareness campaigns. We're not just talking about isolated cases anymore, right, man? You know? So, again, right, drug use, right, is increasing, man. You know? Again, and it says, among the youth, but it's not just the youth, right? It's among all people, right? Drug use is at an all-time high, man. You know? And that's because, again, that mirth, right, that is being, removed from the earth, you know? And I got this right here. This is Isaiah 24, verse 8. It says, the mirth of tabrets ceaseth, the noise of them that rejoice endeth. The joy of the harp ceaseth. They shall not drink wine with their song. Strong drink shall be bitter to them that drink it. Right? So, even if you, ultimately take a drink, or, for the older people, right? They go out to a bar, this and the third. Even though you take a drink, this and the third. Hey, well, people are still worried. I mean, you gotta sit here and think about, hey, can I afford this beer? While you drinking that beer that you just spent money on that you don't even know if you can really actually afford or not. So these people are fucking stressed the hell out, man. And bros have been saying it, a lot, last few months, man. Right? We're in crash out season heavy. People's the tension is at an all-time high. Right? People's stress and depression is at an all-time high. These people are in a bad state, man. It says right here, verse 10, it says the city of confusion is broken down, which that's talking about America. Right? Which we know is Babylon, right? And the root word of Babylon is Babel, which means what? Confusion. Right? It says the city of confusion is broken down. America's being destroyed, man. Right? That social, standard that America once had, right? Everybody was, living decent, right? Going back 2014, 2015, Even before then, right? Before the 2008 crash, right? Back in the year 2000, 2005, people were doing all right, man. Prices weren't super high, man. Everybody was doing good. But now as you see, and then again, right, drug use, right, was still high, right? You had the crack epidemic, right? The crack era, the 80s, the 90s, But coming out of that, man, you didn't really have too many, homeless and druggy on the streets, man. You didn't have too many of that, man. That was seldomly. But now it's every fucking where. Again, a depiction, right, showing you or an identification marker, right, of America's decline, right? It says every house is shut up that no man may come in. There is a cry for wine in the streets. All joy is dark and the mirth of the land is gone, right? So people are turning to drug use, right, to try to get that, that dopamine hit, that joy. But all it's doing is doing what? It's killing people, man. People are getting taken out left and right, especially as it says, right, especially the youth. It's talking about 8th graders hitting whippets and shit like that, man. That's some evil ass shit. That's some wicked ass shit right there, man. But this is what we see. Right, America's done for, man. Right, that's the American, lifestyle, this American dream. Hey, that shit been gone out the window, man. And it's not coming back, man. You know that joy ain't gonna come back. This is Jeremiah chapter 51 and verse 8. It says, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain, if so she may be healed. And America's not going to be able to be healed, man. Right? It's only going to continue to get worse from here, man. It says, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her and let us go everyone into his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. That's right, man. You know? You're going to start to see more and more people, right, doing drugs and falling out on while doing drugs, right, overdosing and whatnot. You're going to see a drastic increase, as we saw, right? It says 2010 to 2023, a 578% increase in fatalities from using whippets, right? Imagine the increase of those who use it and have not died, you know? Imagine that, right? If the deaths increase, that means the usage, right? How the amount of people using this stuff has to have increased, man. You know, how much more with other drugs? Hey, this fucking place is done for, man. Call Allah Yahweh Shemi Al Shai. Shalom.